Hello, flower friends. Peonies are stunningly beautiful, but they can be tricky to use in design. Today I'm going to share some beginner mistakes and how to avoid them. My name is Ellen Frost. I'm creating a community of flower nerds online by sharing knowledge and creating connections. Subscribe to my free weekly flower newsletter. The link is in the description. One of the first mistakes that beginners make when they're using peonies is to not prepare their stems correctly. So peonies can come into your home or your shop in lots of different ways, but usually they're going to have a bunch of foliage on them, and sometimes they'll come in dry, just in a box, or sometimes they'll come in water. A lot of beginners will just take them from either the box or the bucket and start using them. But peonies really need to be prepared before they're used in design. So the first thing you want to do is remove all of the foliage. Not only is this foliage not pretty, oftentimes you'll see it even has spots or powdery mildew, but it is detracting from the flower taking up water. So we want all of the water in the stem to go to the bloom, and we don't want to hold on to any of those green leaves. If you want to leave this very top leaf on, you could, but I say just take them all off because they're not adding anything to your design. What you want to see in your design is this flower, and that's it. You absolutely do not want to use your peony in this state. So now that you've got your peony totally cleaned of leaves, you want to make sure to give it a fresh cut, because as you can see, the bottom of this stem has been, it's possible it's been seared with a flame. A lot of times growers will sear the bottom of the stems. That's to hold in moisture if they're delivering them dry. And you want to make sure that you're giving your stem a fresh cut when they come in. Now you can cut on an angle that's going to give the most surface area for this bloom to take up water. It's fine if you cut it straight across, but you just want to make sure that you're giving it a nice fresh cut so that this seared or old or scabbed over part is gone. And this is going to allow you to take up water more easily. The next mistake that a lot of beginners make is using their peonies in design in the wrong stage. Now, what I mean by that is peonies come in lots of different stages. The proper harvest stage for a peony is what we call the marshmallow stage. That means if you feel the bloom, it feels soft and squishy like a marshmallow. That is the proper stage of harvest. Now, not every farmer, every grower is going to harvest correctly, but that is the proper stage of harvest. If you receive a peony that feels more like a golf ball, it's very hard, it doesn't have any give, it's really just rock hard, that is not the time to use those peonies. This is the wrong time to put them in a design. It's unlikely that a peony that is this hard will actually open. And what you don't want to do is put a peony in a design, either in a vase arrangement or a bouquet, that's never going to open, because honestly, this bud doesn't look very good. So a lot of beginners will just put them in the vase the way they get them, but these are not the proper way to use them. Another thing that beginners will do is use a peony that is wide open. Now, this one isn't completely wide open, but it's pretty open. And the more open a peony is when you use it, the shorter vase life it's going to have. So if you get a peony from your yard that is fully bloomed, fully open, that is not the proper stage to harvest or to use it in a design, because it is not going to last. It's probably going to last like one day, and then all of the petals are going to shed and you're going to be disappointed. So you really want to make sure that you're using your peonies in their proper stage. This is the marshmallow stage. And if you prepare your stems just like we talked about, and you put this in water, you are going to get this bloom to open within a day. The next mistake that a lot of beginners make is to use their peonies without the proper structure to support them. Peonies their heads are very heavy. Their stems are even heavy. Some peonies, this is coral charm, it's about halfway to where it's going to be open. Peonies can be, 5 or 6 inches across, and their heads can be very heavy. And if you use them in a vase with no supporting structure, they can tip over and even bend or break. So anytime you're using a vase with peonies, you want to try to use some kind of mechanic. And a mechanic is just a tool to hold your stems in place. So in this case, chicken wire is a great mechanic for peonies because what you're going to do is just put this inside your vase. Now when you put your stems in, you can see that your peony is supported. It's standing straight up and down. It's not leaning. Its head is not going to break. So using a support like a piece of chicken wire is a great way to avoid the mistake of having your peonies flop or your heads break off. The next mistake that a lot of beginners make is to overcrowd their designs with peonies. So peonies get very large. They can be 5-6 inches wide once they're fully open. And if you have a design where you have many peonies packed together in this marshmallow stage, you're not giving them any room to expand and open. And so what's going to happen is that when they start to open, they're going to push up against each other and they're going to get bent, and they're not going to allow the bloom to fully open and be fully beautiful. So overcrowding your peonies, packing them into a design too tightly is a mistake I see a lot of people make. What you want to do is to make sure that you give your peonies plenty of space to open. So that may mean not putting another stem or another bloom, within a couple of inches of that so that it has plenty of room to open. So a lot of times peonies, when they're harvested, are a certain color. So coral charm, this is the peony I have here. You can see that when it's harvested, it has a bright, deep coral color. And after a day or two, this color is going to start to fade. And by day 3, 4, or 5, this peony is going to look still perfectly fresh, but the color is going to be completely different. It's going to be a cream colored, almost like a light peach. So if you want to use a peony for its color when it's harvested, you want to use it right away, because if you wait a few days, the color can start to fade, and many peonies do this. Some will start a very bright pink and fade to a peach or a blush or even a white. Some reds will fade to a light pink. So you want to be sure that you're using the peonies when they're in the color stage that you really want them to be, and so that you're not surprised when in a couple of days the color is drastically different. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, and if you think it would be helpful for a friend, feel free to pass it along. And if you're a real flower nerd, subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link is in the description.